Welcome back to the channel. If you're not already subscribed, maybe you should consider subscribing. Today we're gonna start officially building our little Leroy project, which you guys have informally named Lilroy for me, so I guess we're building Lilroy. I don't really know where I wanna start with this project. I do know that most frames, when you build actual chassis cars, are started with a lower bar on the back of the roll cage. We have this printout, ignore the printer, it's a decade old. We have this image here, and the bar would be from here all the way across to the other side on the floor, and that's what your bottom control arms kind of go into. That's the bar you start with. These are the dimensions that we're going to be running for a 3/4 size car, so 78-inch wheelbase, 135 bumper. You got to adjust that because there's no bumper. And then this is our track widths, and then this is our height. But instead of rambling on too long, I'm just going to get into it, and then I'll explain it to you as I go. That's what we're going to do.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room, my world's so bright.
To catch you up to speed, like I said, my air compressor, a little bit too small. It takes forever to bend a pipe. What I did was I just took a piece of our pipe, I marked it at 1-inch increments here, and then I made a bend in it just so I have a rough idea of how long the pipe is gonna be during the bend. So we started here on the thing, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 inches to get roughly this much of a bend. And that's just gonna give us a good idea for bending stuff. I have no real experience making cages or doing or bending pipe. This is like my first time ever really doing it, so this is all new to me and it's gonna be a learning experience. I'm gonna try and build the main hoop now. I might not be able to do it on camera because it takes so long for this bender to bend one piece of pipe, but I'll come back to you once I have something made.
To breathe, but that's alright. Hush. Take my eyes open to force me.
Well, we have our first mistake. I was on track to make this pretty good. As you can see, this side would have been bent up nice. It's a nice 90. This one needed a bit more bend over there because my bender, the dial doesn't match exactly what the bends are. So I made sure that these top two were the exact same. The only thing is, so I bent up this side first, and then I bent up the top to get our width, and I almost had it. The only thing is, so I marked from here to here what I wanted our top length portion to be to make the bottom legs the right length, which was 34 3/8. And I did do that. I marked it right here, but then I marked it right here. So this was on the straight part, and I meant to bend this backwards in the bender so that this would start my bend right here from here to here. So I messed this one up for sure. And that's just too short. I measured it across here. If we do bend this leg in, it's gonna be like 49 inches. And we were aiming for 55, so you lose half a foot of width, which I'm not really okay with. This section right here is gonna be good for something. This top section right here is gonna be good for something because it's straight, and then this section here. So it's not a complete loss. I can reuse that tubing somewhere else. You know what I've decided to do? I've decided to take the double bend out of it, and I'm just gonna make one single bend hoop 90. And that's gonna give us the maximum space inside the passenger compartment. Thinking about it, you're gonna try and fit 2 people in that passenger compartment. You're gonna want as much room on the inside as you can. It's not aesthetically gonna look the same as Leroy, just on the main hoop, but hopefully we'll make it up by making the engine really cool, and then you won't notice the little, yeah.
Reality. Why can't you just let me eat my weight in glee? I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids.
All right, well, I was midway cutting through this with my tubing notcher, and I realized that I used both of my 1.25" bits trying to drill through these stainless headers, so I ruined them. Now I've got to go to Canadian MOF to get a new orange MOF for $1.99. I mean, I got to go to Canadian MOF to get some hole saw thingamajigs so I can actually complete this main hoop. And this is like 3 days after I've completed this bended hoop here, because I had to go to work for 3 nights. So I've actually been super excited to get back to this. The whole learning process here has been so fun. So I gotta go buy some hole saws. We're gonna get these 2 cut up. We're gonna put it on top of one of these pipes. One of these is actually slightly a bit longer because I made our bends a little bit too long. So we're gonna use one that's a little bit longer. So we're gonna end up at 56 inches wide instead of 55 inches track width. So we're supposed to be 55 inches to the edge of the wheels here. It's gonna end up being like 56, but that's okay because it's an exoskeleton cut. And I actually went a little bit higher on the top hoop as well. It's supposed to be 35 here. I went to 38 because exoskeleton, and I just want enough room that my head's gonna fit underneath that bar with a seat. You know, gotta wear a stupid mask for a pandemic that doesn't make any sense at all. But we're at Canadian Tire. You always gotta buy a box of one-time use drill bits. $79. I'm gonna attempt to use some of these bimetal longer extended life ones, and then I'll get a regular one as well. Of course they have carbide tipped ones, but they don't have 1.25", which I need. I really need one of these to go on sale one day. A Cobalt set, those things last forever. All right, back from Canadian Tire. Just so you know, DeWalt, this is how your hole saw showed up in my package, so you're not off to a good start in quality-wise. But this is the new teeth versus the old teeth. They look exactly the same, just rebranded. Anyways, we'll put that in, and then we have this concoction here, which is just straight cutting fluid, so we're gonna try that too. As you can see, we already have a little bit of a cut here started. Hopefully this still fits on, it does. This fits in here, maybe, yep. So we're gonna use a low speed with some cutting fluid to see if it cuts through. Yeah, that works pretty good. And this is the finish you expect with a tubing notcher right here. You can see it fits in there so perfect. But what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to take our grinder with the flat pea disc on it and clean this up and bevel the edges the other way. This is really thick pipe. It's actually 120 wall, so we'll get some nice penetration into that. And I'll cut the other side and we'll get the main hoop tacked on. It's a start, and I can't tell you guys how excited I am to be doing this. It's just so fun to learn something new. And a couple years ago when I didn't even know how to TIG weld, I never would have thought that I was gonna be building and bending tubing. So it's kind of cool to get into new territory. We've got the flat pea disc to it, and now you see when we put the pipe here, we actually have a little bevel that we can fill into the pipe, so we're welding into like the base of the pipe and not just like some random burrs that are sticking out the end. And it just fits in there like that. So now we can throw a couple tacks on each side just to hold it in place, flip it over, and then we can start our next bars after these ones.
Be carefree lately, just picking up daisies.
So there's our hoop. It's not much, but it's a start. I'm kind of upset that I didn't get to use the double bend because I find the double bend looks better, but for having the most amount of room, I think the single bend's just gonna be good. So next I have to figure out, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make the passenger compartment here. So we're gonna make a bar that goes from, like we made a hoop that goes right here. We're gonna make a bar that goes from here to here, and then we're gonna go and make our top bars like this. So I have to figure out the length of this bottom bar right here, and then a bar that goes through the front as well. The problem is I don't really have good visuals here, but what I do know, because I know our tire size and our wheel size, is this is gonna be 22 inches. The wheel here is gonna be 22 inches. So if I cut that in half, it's 11 inches from the baseline forward, 11 inches from the baseline forward, and I'll give myself a couple inches of room behind the tire to the pole and behind the tire to the pole, and then this distance will be our passenger compartment. So if we add our 11 on this side with our 11 on this side in front of the baseline, that leaves us with 66-ish, because 22, 78 minus 22, 66-ish. If I leave 3 inches in front of the wheel, 3 inches behind the wheel, so 3 inches here, 3 inches there, that'll leave us with 60 inches. So I'm just gonna lay 60 inches out on the floor, and I'm gonna get a rough estimate. I know that this bar right here is 55 inches. So it's literally the wheel behind that, and then the wheel will be immediately in front of this one. Oh, that's tons of room. But first we're gonna cut another piece like this one and put it in the front here. And then we're gonna join a bar from here to that piece, and then we're gonna build the hoop from here down forward. So it's about as square as it's gonna get. I use a square in all four corners. They're all perfect there. But the biggest problem I have here is if I start rocking it on this side, you can tell that like, so my floor isn't level. So this thing isn't gonna be perfectly level, which I mean, I knew wasn't gonna happen without some sort of like chassis jig or something, but it's all right. It'll work for what we're doing. What I have to figure out next is there has to be bars that go from here to down to here, but it has to include the windshield too. I don't know if I want to make like a halo style, so where I just come with a bar from here on this point, come out, do a loop, put it back to here, and then do a bar from that down, or if I want to come with the bar all the way down and then put my middle bar in. Because I'm trying to build it as like an 850 cage spec. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my square, I'm gonna put it here. I'm gonna look and see, it's about 5 inches right there where it goes flat, maybe 5.5. I'm gonna put a mark there at like 5.5 inches, and that's where I'm gonna build my tube from, and then I can just do the same thing on the other side, and that's where this tube is gonna come down to go to that one. Okay, this is gonna be a little bit unorthodox, but I'm actually gonna use this because I assume this is a scale model of the car just shrunk down. And I'm gonna use this roughly as what we've done. I'm gonna say that these are where our pipes are right here, because we left a couple inches on the inside of each wheel. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take this caliper. Like I said, this might be really unorthodox, but because it's only me in the garage and I only have myself to feed off of, this is the best idea I can come up with. And I assume that there's a way better method of doing this. It's just I don't have the resources or the mental capacity, obviously, to think of it myself. So it looks like between the center of our two pipes right here, let's just call that 3.33. So 3.33 inches. This will make sense in my head. It won't necessarily make sense in your head. The distance from the back of the windshield here to the bottom of the windshield, 1.87. And then because the cage sticks up from the floorboard a little tiny bit, that's 2.175. And that means from the bottom of the floorboard to the body here is 1.4. Okay, now that I have these numbers, I know that our scale is from this number to this number was 3.33 inches, but I know it's actually 55 inches. So I know this point to this point is roughly 39 3/4 of an inch. So if I get percentages of this is the percentage, what percentage this is of this for our windshield, and then I scale it to our 55 inches, that should give me roughly the length of the bar that I want for this section right here. And then if I get the same, I get a percentage of this number, and I use this number, then I know roughly how high I want this length to be. So I can get this length, and then basically all I have to do is make it come together to fit our specs, because our specs are a little bit tiny bit off. But that'll give us a rough idea of the proportions that we're kind of looking at. This one is 56%. So 55 times point, and it's at an angle, so it's not going to be perfect, but 5, 6. So this is roughly going to be 30 inches. That's our number for our windshield length. This is 64% of the height, which is roughly 25.5 inches. Okay, we're running out of space here with the camera. That is roughly 24 inches tall. So if we go 30 inches here, we break the measuring tape right here. I mean, that doesn't look horrible, to be honest. We could even go a little bit longer on the windshield, I think, because it is a bit longer in that car. Maybe 33 inches. Okay, please don't make fun of my methods. This is the only thing I got. This is the same height as that. It's the distance we wanted it away. So I'm gonna try and find this angle right here just by placing my measuring tape on this and this, taking our angle finder, and getting a rough angle of this. It says roughly 26 degrees. Well, I made another boo-boo, and this is a weird one that I made. I was like, I want a 25-degree slope, so I'll bend the other one at 75 degrees, and then 75 plus 25 equals 100, right? So it'll be at 25 degrees, right? I forgot that you gotta do it at 90. So 25 subtract 90 is 65. I needed a 65-degree bend, not a 75-degree bend. So I bent that one too far. It ended up being like 15 degrees. I was like, what the hell is going on here? This one, we've got this one sitting roughly 85 degrees straight up and down, so it does have to move higher up there. And then our slant right here should be 25 degrees once we move this one. I think it's roughly like here. Oh boy. It's roughly like that. So now we have to get our length of this top pipe right here of the 31 inches and then put the bend right there so that it lines up to here. And it's below the tire over there because I left a chunk of pipe on the end so that I could cut it off and notch it so it'll fit on top of that post right there. More unorthodox methods, using my tripod here to hold it up. This little gauge is like 89.35. We turn it here. That's 26 degrees, which is like what my Mustang windshield is, 25 degrees right there. Which means our next bend has to be 25 degrees to go in there. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna get a pipe from here to here, make a mark what's level, and then I actually have to go back a couple inches to start my bend in order to make it the right bend. So that is where it intersected. Then I just drew a straight line to the pipe, and then I went back 2.75 inches, and then from that line down to here somewhere is definitely, like that's 30 inches to there. So if you have like a little cowl thing on the hood, that's like roughly the size that we wanted for the windshield. I actually conveniently marked the backside of this pipe too. That was 20 inches, that was 40 inches, and that was 60 inches up there, just to have reference points after I did my bends. And this one almost lands at 60 inches, so that we know when we replicate this on the other side, it should land just past the 60-inch mark. I think we got it here. Our level says we are 0.2 of a degree. The only thing I didn't take into account is that I actually put something on top to get my mark. So now the pipe is level on top of the pipe, which means all we have to do is cut an extra 1.25 inches out of this pipe, and then it should both drop down. I did put extra length on this one. I left like 2 inches of what I was supposed to do because the height from here was supposed to be 20 and I think it's 22. So that's what we'll do. We'll just drop down both of these pipes and yeah, just drill some hole saws now. Well, how's that for fitment? We got it pretty good up here, the way I cut it at an angle. Should weld up very nicely. And then the one down here, I had to once again compound cut it, because this one, I do have to weld this underside before I can weld this one on. But obviously we know the hard part is going to be replicating this one. But I mean, for now, look at it. It looks pretty damn good, man. Man, I'm super stoked about that. That was so fun. I tried to make sure that these ones right here were straight up 90s in the front. So our bar in the front here is the same width as like the bottom bar. We do have to run a bar from here to here, but everything's like tacked up now and it's like pretty solid. And as I was saying before, my floor isn't exactly level, so it's probably gonna be off by a degree or two all over the place, but it's all good fun. We do still have to build like a harness bar in the back. We still have to build D-bars to go down to the bottom. We're gonna brace it as much as we can so we can get some stiffness like in the chassis part here. But I did order some wheels. They're from a Honda Civic, so they're 13-inch front wheels, 15-inch rear wheels. They're like drag wheels for a Honda. I'm just gonna switch it up. We're gonna run 15s in the front, 13s in the rear, and then a 22-inch Hoosier in the back and a 22-inch front runner in the front to make it look like Leroy, basically. But yeah, I'm super stoked on this progress. I'm glad I got that second bar done because that was pretty rewarding. But if you guys want to keep seeing me build this project, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Hit that little bell notification thing. It means a huge bunch to the algorithm. Peace easy and get dead V.